Have you seen this? The movie Drive thought it was.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Patrons get the show a week early, and $5 supporters also get access to our Discord. Or you can tip us at our Ko-fi. Visit the link in the show notes.
Does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, I got his ass.
Oh,
Take that, Nicholas Winding Refn.
I know. Yeah, goddamn auteur. Yeah, Ruffin.
William Friedkin is staring judgmentally at you from whatever afterlife he's in. It's not going to be heaven.
Yeah, right. Oh, for sure. How about this? Oh God, oh man, it's another Ryan O'Neal movie.
Fortunately, this is minimalist Ryan O'Neal, which I think is the better Ryan O'Neal.
Yeah, it is a minimalist movie overall. This is 1978's The Driver. What's it about, you might ask?
It's so sick.
It's about a heist.
It's so sick. Everyone needs cars. That's why they call them
cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the triumph that Triumph, also a car. The triumph that Heist failed at, because Heist is also, it's a very bare bones generic. What do they call a movie where they steal things?
Pastiche?
No, a movie about criminals stealing things. Heist movie. Sorry,
Quentin Tarantino movie.
Different kind of stealing.
Right.
Yeah. So The Driver. Guess what it's about?
It's about a golf club.
It is about trying to get a CD-ROM to work on your Windows 95 machine. It's about installing a Sound Blaster Pro.
And whom amongst us?
Oh, for sure.
A really good way to describe this movie is, if I may quote Will Miniker in his review from Letterboxd, he describes this movie as, Ryan O'Neal has driving autism. And Bruce Dern is the neurotypical detective trying to stop him from stimming with getaway cars in this barebones neo-noir by Walter Hill.
Okay, yeah, so why isn't Will Miniker returning our calls? But yeah, Bruce Dern is the villain in this. Got it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Bare Bones
so
is right.
Scary in this.
Bare Bones is a great description.
And it's interesting, you bring up Heist from last week, which one would expect to be a lean and muscular film in the Mamet tradition, but it actually just kind of ends up being half-assed.
Yep.
And I was thinking about how in this movie, it's not like this movie has super intricate characters. In fact, these are very typey sort of characters, but
it doesn't need them.
Right. And the characters reach these almost mythic proportions, much as they might in, say, a Western.
That's interesting. I think that you should probably mention that to Walter Hill, because I think he likes Westerns. He's the writer and director of this.
And he's still alive, too.
That's great. Maybe he and Joe Don Baker can hang out.
Oh, no.
Oh, shoot.
Don't jinx it.
All right. Every time.
Now, we've talked about Walter Hill before in the show. Tim was absent wisely because the movie was Streets of Fire. Mm-hmm. A movie which I know that it has its adherents, but frankly, it's not very good. Looks great. It tries for the same sort of mythic feel as The Driver. Does not succeed. This is a movie populated by, like I said, fairly flat characters with
archetypes,
their
stereotypes,
tropes,
yeah,
with their personal morality kind of writ large in the film. But it works so well in this, where it doesn't in Streets of Fire. And
or Heist.
I don't know, Tim, if you've seen Walter Hill's movie after this, The Warriors from 1979.
I think Warriors has cast a pretty long shadow, just in terms of being a unusual, almost singular vision.
Yeah, and it's a little more Baroque than this one, but
Definitely,
it is also fucking sick,
right, yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, it's kind of like,
I love The Warriors.
Yeah, do you have a movie that's full of cool stuff? I'm like, yeah. We're like, okay, yeah, enough said. Why are we still having this conversation? I'm going to see your movie. You said there's cool stuff in it. Like, yeah, I know why people go to see movies. It's for shit like this. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what works about the driver is, like you say, it is very, or like, friend of the show, Will Menaker, says it is bare bones. And yeah, these characters are tropes. You have, because, I'm going through the movie and I'm taking notes and I'm like, did I miss what Ryan O'Neal's character is named? No, I wasn't. You know who the protagonist of the driver is called? He's called the driver. Like, we don't.
It's real simple.
Yeah, Walter Hill is like, why are we screwing around with all this other bullshit? The movie The Driver, it's about a driver. He's a real cowboy, wink, and there's a detective who's also a bit of a loose cannon. And
yeah,
and
a dickhead sheriff.
Right.
Sheriffs often are.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to catch the cowboy. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else do you need, Walter Hill? Just like angrily typing away, writing his like haiku sparse screenplay.
It made sense as well to type in a very lean and terse way in those days, because you had to do it on a typewriter.
Right.
And those things are fucking hard to use.
Yeah, you'd just be clacking away at that.
It didn't stop Stephen King, but he was
nothing was stopping
altered.
Stephen King until he got to the end of that rail. But yeah, for a contemporary similar version of that, like you might cite the Cormac McCarthy No Country for Old Men. Because that was written like a screenplay, and and also the Coen brothers were like, look, we don't have a lot of time to get the screenplay out. Like, leave out all the like cut to scene, blah blah blah. Like, just write the stuff we need to know, and we can fill in the rest. So you can have a really terse, sparse screenplay, but that stripped down nature of it really comes across, and that can also infuse the mood of the movie, or the theme. Like, it comes across where you're like, I understand that this is a simplified story. It's very broad and direct, but it's great because it's like there isn't any faffing about. It's like if you had a luxury car that was comfortable for just cruising around in, or you had a sports car that was stripped down and made for going fast and getting away from the cops in cursed downtown LA.
Playing chicken with police cruisers.
Right, yeah. And it's like, if you're a getaway driver, which car do you want? Like, I want the stripped down muscle car that does, 2 or 3 things, but it does them superbly. And that's what this screenplay is.
Now, we mentioned Westerns, and the reason that I brought them up is not just because the overall feel of this movie is very much like a Western.
The cowboy and the sheriff, yeah.
Right. The director and writer himself, Walter Hill, also admits that pretty much all of his movies are Westerns, and if you watch them, you're like, yeah, that tracks. Even like some fucking rockabilly fantasy piece of shit like Streets of Fire.
Yeah, it's like, I can't even be mad. You decided to make a particular genre of movie, and you did it.
Yeah.
Like, if someone said, I'm gonna... It would be like someone walking into a Wes Anderson movie and being like, what's with all the framing? Like, why everything is so stodgy and uptight?
Why is everything so meticulously composed?
Yeah, if you're going to a Walter Hill movie, then one way or another you're going to get a Western, and it's great because it's like, I like making Westerns. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, if you come to one of my movies, you're going to get a Western. Like, great. It's also where I took that that piece of writing advice that I'd gotten. It was from a podcast that was about Breaking Bad, but it's like, third or fourth hand knowledge that was, and it was, Walter Hill had said as much about, why he makes Westerns is that, a Western is, it's the frontier. It is the, literal Wild West. There's no law, there's no morality except what you bring to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of interestingly, just as an aside, it's something that they do in, I think, the third or fourth season of The Expanse, where, they've settled another planet, but it's 2 different groups that are at odds. And one of them, makes the observation that, like, they come from a society, so they think that they're still playing society's rules, but they're really just beyond that. and like beyond the sort of agreed upon social contract, like that's where the violence happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, or another movie we covered on the show, Outland, starring Sean Connery.
Yeah, where it's like, if you aren't the law, who is?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the question, whether it's Outland or The Expanse, or the Driver, or any number of Coen movies, or just your westerns in general. So that was the insight that Walter Hill had, and I'm sure he got it from someone else. So it's just Hollywood legend at this point.
Probably from all those B westerns he watched as a kid.
Right? Yeah, it was someone from the 40s being like, "Look, listen here, you.
Yeah,
this is how we're gonna make a picture, right?"
Because in the interview with him that I watched, like, he named some cowboy actors that you and I have, and everyone have never even heard of. Like those actors who have fallen through the cracks culturally because nobody watches their shit anymore. Like,
right, yeah. Yeah, because people being like, "Oh, why would you make a Western? Westerns are so defunct." But it's like, Westerns are everywhere. Westerns are any time that you're in a situation where it's like you have to obey your scruples in a lawless environment.
Right.
That's a Western. The horses are the like manifest part of it, but you want the subtext part of it.
Yeah, and it's like the American genre.
Right.
So, which is why, like, the Western, in spite of not being as culturally relevant as it once was, like in the mid-20th century, like it will pop up every few years and be like, "Hey, remember me? Your national cultural mythos."
This ain't a comic book movie.
Well, we'll ask Grant Morrison about that.
Right. Oh man, just strap in. And I like some of Walter Hill's other work too.
Such as?
Well, he did 48 Hours. That was pretty popular.
That was
he did another 48
popular.
Hours. Yeah, guess what that's about. He had a hand in the 3 Alien movies.
Yes, producer on Alien.
Yeah, I think the story for Aliens.
Yes.
I guess he's the one who wrote the $sign on the whiteboard.
Smart
and
man.
bless him, Alien 3. Yeah. The David Fincher's Trial by Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And
imagine
it's
bringing
because,
those two face to face now. Like, okay, you two, talk it out.
I'm sure Fincher's an okay guy, not uptight or anything. So yeah, not just the Alien movies, and it's funny because I'm fairly well versed in them, but I mean, like like Ron Shusett and Dan O'Bannon, like those are names where I go, oh yeah, Alien, but then it's like, oh, also Walter Hill, and I'm like, Walter who Hill? Like,
yeah,
he's like, well, I'm kind of the reason that we have Alien. Like, oh, okay, cool. And I did 48 Hours. What the fuck?
Yeah,
so,
and
that is on me for not being more familiar with the works of Walter Hill.
Well, and on me too, because like if you like looking at his filmography, there's like all this shit of his that I want to watch now, like Southern Comfort or like Long Riders or he fucking wrote The Getaway with
that's good
the movie which caused Ali MacGraw to leave Robert Evans for Steve McQueen.
Huh. Well, that's just classic Steve.
The thing that I always remember about that movie is it's a photo caption in the book Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. It's on a photo of Ali MacGraw like embracing Robert Evans back when they were married, and the caption is a quote from Robert Evans saying, "She was looking at me and thinking of Steve McQueen's cock." And it's like, I mean, it's
Bobby,
Steve,
you got away with words.
It's Steve McQueen. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
right? Yeah. Like I'm thinking about his cock. Like can't help it.
Yeah. So, yeah, like the guy has a filmography that I would like to explore further. I will even forgive him for Streets of Fire. Great soundtrack on that movie, but
yeah, I mean, it is a lot of hits and a lot of misses, but it is also like Walter Hill's going to Walter Hill. Like, he may stumble at some point, but he's always like moving at his own pace, and like my cowboy hat is off to him.
And it's funny, I just realized, like, because in this movie you have Ryan O'Neal at his best, which is to say, mostly expressionless.
Right, yeah, kind of a cipher, I think, as Jen would call it.
Right, and it makes me think of Streets of Fire and like the casting of Michael Paré. Like, I wonder if he thought he was getting like another Ryan O'Neal, and then it just kind of didn't work out that way.
Didn't pan out. Yeah, well.
But
yeah, it's
anyway.
a shame when you can't even measure up to Ryan O'Neal.
The finest man in the world.
Right, yeah, exactly.
A man who literally hit on his own daughter at a funeral.
Hey, you got to see your opportunities, man.
Yeah, like...
I mean, maybe it was just seeing the body in the casket where he's like, I don't have long to live. She looks hot, kind of like my ex-wife.
Wait,
a
she's
little
my
like
fucking
myself.
daughter.
Right, yeah.
So,
I knew I saw something I liked in you.
Yeah, like never, you know what? Like, anytime you think to yourself, why is Tatum O'Neal so screwed up? Her dad's Ryan O'Neal.
Well, yeah, okay.
Enough said.
Yeah.
But he's good in this. He doesn't need to stretch himself, but he is very effective in the part, much like the Cypher he plays in Barry Lyndon.
Right.
Although he's really good in Barry Lyndon, I think.
Yeah. And amazingly from not really an actor's director.
Oh, and
Kubrick Stanley.
That brings me to one really important thing about this movie, which is that Tim, Ryan O'Neal's character is basically you.
Because I drive a fucked up car.
Oh, that's another one I'll add to my list. But
there you go, yeah.
The first thing that must be said is the borderline flat affect.
What's wrong with that?
Second thing, which you see when the driver gets extremely short with the guys that he's just driven away from a heist. Major Tim trait, severely intolerant of other people's mistakes.
Right, yeah, because he's like, here's your 15%, and then, whatever for next time. And he's like, there won't be a next time, you were late.
Yeah. Also, Ryan O'Neal, I think they count, and it's in like the trivia section on IMDb, he says maybe 300 words in this movie.
Yes, that is great, because, I mean, really, let the driving speak for itself. Like, the first, 10 minutes of the movie, it's like, we're just going to put you in a car chase. Like, oh, great. Is the character going to say anything? Nope. He is the driver. This movie isn't called 1978's The Talker.
Yeah, you want to see the conversation? That's down the hall, pal.
That's the Coppola joint. That's the other one.
Yeah, this is Walter Hill, bitch. We do neo-noir westerns.
Yes.
And we're going to fuck up some cars in downtown LA. God, this is the point where I wrote in my notes in all caps, this is sick as hell.
You're right. There isn't any mamby-pamby dialogue. There isn't, David Mamet, getting up his own ass, saying, really oblique, tough guy talk. It is just a guy being like, you shut up, I'm driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to have any, we're going to dress it up.
Yeah, it opens with a what do you call that thing? Heist.
It opens with the driver.
They rob a card room, I guess. I don't know. This is a weird. I didn't know these kinds of casinos existed in LA County, but
yeah, it seems like an illegal casino, but it's there are a lot of squares at this illegal casino, so you're reading too much into it. There's a lot of money that needs to be stolen, and someone needs a getaway driver. Walter Hill is like, look, I'm already on page 5. Stop interrupting me.
Right, and so we open with the driver stealing a car, and where is he going?
In the day before car alarms and license plate readers. Mwah.
Yeah, when you could just you could use a metal implement to just jimmy the door and then wire that the fuck up and take off.
Yeah, and just roll out of a parking garage somewhere.
What's that
thing? You don't need to wait for your license plate is being checked. Wink, have a nice day.
Yeah.
Fuck you, robot. You aren't my friend.
We used to be a real country.
Take money from me.
What's that thing the very first shot, he's riding up into the parking garage in a thing? What is that thing?
I don't know what that thing is. It is a very dangerous elevator.
Yeah, it looks like something you're not supposed to ride in.
I didn't place it because I was immediately distracted by all the driving.
Right. Well, if anyone knows exactly what that thing is that Ryan O'Neal rides in the parking garage, in the very first shot of the driver, write in info@haveyouseen.us.
Right.
I
mean, I know they have like those old timey elevators that are unsafe as hell.
Mm-hmm.
The ones where it's just like a vertical conveyor belt, and it's like, well, you hop on the elevator and don't stop because otherwise your arm will get ripped off. It's like, yeah, it's just a continuous elevator with like no bar or anything. Just like, yeah, just hop on the elevator and don't hesitate for a fucking second or you will die.
Damn.
Yeah, and then they changed those to a thing where you press a button and you get in.
Oh, okay.
I know. We used to be real country, right?
Dare I say, Tim, all this elevator trivia is very autistic of you.
You're right. Can't we just talk about the driving or not talk about the driving?
Can't we just talk very tersely about the driving?
Yeah, and he's a terse character. And the thing, like, I'm here for it, to keep using that phrase, because there are scenes where if it was David Mamet writing it, there would be this whole florid bullshit, like this back and forth. But it isn't. Like, I'm jumping like pretty much all the way to the end. But like I said, there isn't going to be a next time. You were late. It's like, that's it. But yeah, it's a great car chase. The guy, isn't phased for a second. He doesn't even talk. Like, they just are like, here, 23.5. And then, he takes his money and runs. But like, even at the end, I don't want to spoil it. There's a car chase.
Oh, word?
Yeah. But suffice to say, he comes out on top and he's, got the guy dead to rights, gun trained at him after shooting his partner. And it's just sort of like, there's a tense moment and he's just like, go home. That's it. What more does he need to say? Like, I feel like an ass that this episode is going to be like 90 minutes when it could have just been, go see The Driver. It's an excellent car chase heist movie.
Also, you notice that he is a quick draw with a revolver. Right.
Which is key because in the whole thing, and you'll see this in like plenty of other heist movies about drivers, like, oh, the driver doesn't use a gun, he doesn't carry a gun, he hates guns. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Hell, you could watch Baby Driver.
No thanks.
Right, yeah, not a Kevin Spacey fan.
Ansel Elgort is no Ryan O'Neal.
True. Oof. Sorry, Ansel. But yeah, so that is a thing where it's like, yeah, it doesn't carry a gun, doesn't use a gun, blah, blah, blah. Don't, commit two crimes at the same time. But that is a thing that, because the character is so, buttoned up, that there's another guy who like draws a gun on him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to shoot you because you're just the driver and you don't like shooters and you don't like guns. And then he shoots him. And it's like, he never said that he didn't carry a gun. Like, he didn't say that he wouldn't straight up shoot a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, I mean, right. Yeah. I am a driver, but I will shoot you if I have to. Like, don't misunderstand.
Yeah.
So
he might be autistic, but he's not stupid.
Exactly. Thank you. But yeah, that's the crux of it, is that, he plays it so close to the vest that everyone's, it's like in that movie Heist, the movie about the heist, where Gene Hackman, the
2001 or 2015.
Right. Yeah. Where the man who commits the heist, he says, everyone's trying to figure out what we're going to do next. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the way movies work. But that's the thing about Ryan O'Neal. Like, what does he do? He shows up, he drives you from one place to another, he takes his money, and then he leaves. But he doesn't say anything about whether or not he carries a gun or if he's a good shot at it, because maybe it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah. He also doesn't generally answer direct questions. Again, very Tim.
Shut up. Yeah.
Also, if you give him a social cue, such as saying, "Oh, I guess you're wondering why I'm doing this," he's not gonna feed you the next line. He's just not.
I guess you wonder why I'm doing this. No, nope. Not particularly. Yeah,
I don't care.
Right. Yeah, put one in the MST swear jar. I don't care.
Yeah. So
he's like, I can't help but notice that you aren't talking about that you aren't talking about driving.
So suffice to say,
got myself a little confused there.
Suffice to say, this character is cool as fuck.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you said that he's like me, so QED.
He's a cool fucking guy.
Right, yeah, he's a cool fucking laconic ass motherfucker.
Yeah, and as it turns out, extremely anti-authoritarian, because the main
Mwah.
malevolent force in this movie, and
Yeah.
like I'm choosing my language very deliberately, is the cop played by Bruce Dern, and Bruce Dern is so fucking scary in this. Like I was like, and I think I said this on Blue Sky the other day. Like I think the most on edge I've been watching an actor in a movie was Joaquin Phoenix in The Master. Just like I think one of the best performances I've ever seen in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a close second because Bruce Dern is so good at just absolutely terrifying you. Like just like the tautness of his face, like his kind of like his way of being like condescending in like an infuriating way, but you don't dare like move a finger because you're like, I don't know. I straight up don't know what the fuck this guy's gonna do.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have anyone in a situation that he doesn't completely control.
Yeah.
I think that might be too many double negatives. But yeah, anytime where it's like, because he brings people in, not to the police station, but to like a seedy bar to like question them, where it is like him and like one of his like underlings and like some other goons. But even still, like he's trying to get people to talk, and he'll like, you know, he'll like splash his coffee on you.
Yeah.
Which is a dick move. But then he's like, go on, do something. Like you want to like take a shot at me? I got you for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because you just assaulted a cop. Like he is toying with you because like he's, you know, he's the one who holds all the cards. Fittingly enough. He controls the situation, and he will like push people into compromising positions because they don't have any leverage over him, because he's a lunatic. And I mean, I know that we've seen that sort of, you know, the cop is as bad as the criminal dynamic played out in other heist movies. But yeah, this is, you know, a quintessential version of that.
Yeah, this is a brilliant portrayal, both in terms of the writing and also the acting of the quintessential cop, which is like a powerful bully.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, the biggest gang in Los Angeles, LAPD.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weak example, but I think we saw something similar in God of all movies, Boondock Saints with Willem Dafoe. Because like this guy in right.
Also a virtuosic performance, but actually the kind of like, I don't want to say like the obverse of this performance, but like by comparison, it's like so flamboyant was Wings Hauser in Tough Guys Don't Dance.
Oh yeah, well yeah, maybe
another
Ryan
tall,
O'Neal
curly-haired psychopath.
Yeah, yeah, because Bruce Dern, I mean, kind of like Brad Dourif, you know, where it's like, are you sure this guy's threatening? Then he like turns on the threatening, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's very scary.
Yeah, like, you know, because you might be tempted to cackle at his extremely 1978 hair, but like I fucking dare you to laugh. Like, you'll probably break your fingers.
It is like having Art Garfunkel threatening to tear your throat out.
You ever see Bad Timing?
Oh shit! Well, there you go. Yeah. See, it's possible.
Yeah. Shit. No, I watch Bad Timing again. Anyway.
Yeah. See, so it's the guy who's not threatening, who's threatening you. You're like, wait a minute. You know, it's the Simpsons being like, oh, that little guy didn't even do anything, and I know he's going to do something cool.
Yeah, like, and one of my mutuals on Blue Sky said that this shouts out Rob.
There you go, bragging about having people who follow you on Blue Sky.
I follow
just throwing that in my
Sky.
face. I said people.
Oh well, okay, yeah, not holes.
Right. But you're saying
we'll get to the hole in this movie later, but
yeah.
So my friend Rob shouts out said that this might be Bruce Dern's greatest performance next to The Burbs, and I was like, you know, I think you might be right.
Yeah, fair play to him.
And like, what good casting on Joe Dante's part for The Burbs?
Right.
Because
I saw The Driver, and I'm like, I want that guy. He's very unsettling.
Yeah.
But he seems nice.
Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's probably obvious at this point that, like, I fucking loved this movie.
Yes.
That,
And it is a very efficient script because it isn't just the driver who was involved in the heist. It is, Bruce Stern's cop who is also kind of putting himself out, like, he's sticking his neck out to catch the driver because, he's just this cowboy that he has to have, he can't abide someone not under his thumb,
mm-hmm.
basically. But he is also like really sticking his neck out and risking his badge more or less in order to catch this guy. So there are like everyone involved in this heist as it goes on is at more and more peril. And what I find really insightful about that is the way that characters are written, because a lot of the time, um, like the advice is to sort of like give characters flaws, but it didn't really become clear to me why.
Mm-hmm.
It's because flaws give characters weaknesses and it gives other characters leverage over them. And that is what Bruce Dern is so great as an investigator at seeking out, like finding the like weak point in all these other characters so he can lean on that to get what he wants. And as you make flawed characters, you give lots of opportunities for how they can be pushed in different directions. Like no one is perfectly stable. They're a little, off center, and they can be, pushed around like pawns on a board.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing with me, because otherwise like we're just have to fight about it the rest of the episode.
I don't agree,
no.
Tim. I think you're full of shit.
You're like, Tim, where did you get such a ridiculous idea?
Well,
but yeah,
no, like I think like you're right, and it's what you get when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Absolutely.
And that's Bruce Stern's character coming up against Ryan O'Neill's, because, again, in an extremely Tim-like way, the driver is not going to fucking do anything he doesn't want to do.
You shut up. No, but it's right. And because like so many of these heist movies, and again, Walter Hill, like he's writing this as like he's seen every heist movie, and he's like, look, I'll just crap out a heist movie in like 10 or 12 pages, and it's going to do all the stuff that you've ever seen in a heist movie, and I guarantee you'll love it. Because it is that same heist trope of like, I have a certain set of rules and I never break these rules. But you're going to break a rule now, aren't you? Because it's like, why now? Why are we in this character's life now? Why is this day different from any other? And it's like, because I broke the rule, and then everything turned to shit as a result. It's like, never fall in love with like the mark or whatever, some shit like that. So yeah, he has his rules that he abides by. And even when people come to him, because it has all been set up, he worked with this one crew, but they were late, and he's like, well, they're not reliable, Jen. So he didn't work with them again.
Remember what I said about unvarnished contempt for other people and severe intolerance of other people's mistakes?
I'm talking here. So yeah, because he's the guy that's like, yeah, I can do this driving thing. Like I can do this, or I can just, sit at home in my unfurnished flophouse apartment and stare at the wall until someone calls me up and says I need to drive again. Like I don't care. Like I'll fuck on my own time. But yeah, he doesn't want to work with these jokers, these second stringers, but because he's not working with them, someone else will. And these, second stringers, these shooters, as he calls them, this other crew, like they rob like a supermarket, because I guess that was just a prime target in the 70s. But one of them gets caught because I guess, one of them gets seen or something, whatever. They're sloppy, and one of them gets caught. And because that guy gets caught, they're all at hazard. And, because they are flawed characters, Bruce Dern leans on one of them and is like, you can either go to jail for 10 years or you can do this job for me, because suddenly he's got leverage over them. And this job is going to require this one driver. I'll let you guys go. I don't give a shit about you guys. But he is just, keenly focused on catching the driver. So that's why he sets up this trap. He entraps them, you might say, into doing this job. But yeah, Ryan O'Neil, true to his character, is like, no, these are shooters. I don't work with shooters. And he's like, And the other guy who Bruce Dern is, told him, you got to go get this driver on your job. He's like, he said no. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. And of course, so finally, the cop has to lean on the driver himself. But really quick, as an aesthetic note, this is what was great about the 70s. And here we were kind of reaching the tail end of that really fertile period of like great American movies, like the second golden age. This was 78.
Right.
But this was back when you could cast ugly people in a movie.
Yeah, normal ass people.
Yeah, because these shooters are ugly.
Right. Yeah, they look like they're just picked up off the street. Like it is. And I mean, for better or worse, I watched Ronin, the Bobby
John
De Niro
Frankenheimer
movie. Yeah, and that crew is mismatched as fuck. Like you have Stellan Skarsgård in it. One of the guys doing. I didn't know that he was the voice of Watto.
Did he bring a chance cube?
Right, yeah, yes. I brought one of these from the Netherlands or wherever I'm from. But yeah, Jean Reno, Bobby De Niro, whatever that chick doing an Irish accent.
Natasha McElhone, remember her?
Yeah. The most American looking guy that's ever been cast in anything, and none of them fit together. So yeah, it's the same story as with the driver, where it's like you've got guy who roofies chicks like under the pier in Santa Monica. You have the guy who steals equipment out of the stereo shop that he works at, and you have the mechanic who cuts corners fixing your car. Like that's the crew. Like these are the guys.
Which is the one who looks like kind of like yassified Tom Petty, but like you can't really yassify Tom Petty, so he's like still that's
the
ugly.
roofie surfer.
Yeah, no, that absolutely fits. And or like
these are real LA faces.
Yeah, and Bruce Dern hangs out with a couple of plainclothes guys, one of whom was, I think, a henchman in Bullet, because you'll know his face as soon as you see it. And then there's another guy who is, like, hilarious in close-ups, because honestly, like, it was a different era. Because if it were me directing, like, if I saw, like, the rushes or whatever, I'd want to be like, okay, like, can you maybe, like, not, like, do that with your face, like that weird like lip thing where you look extra derpy while you're listening to Bruce Dern. But that's just how people's faces looked back then.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch the name of the actor, but the other guy, the guy who like
Matt Clark, I want to say.
Okay, well yeah, his partner or his underling, who actually looks like he's older than him. You wouldn't. I mean, he is in Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I go, aha, John Smallberries, you're like, oh, that actor.
But what about John Big Booty?
It's Big Booty.
Tay.
Yeah. So it's that same actor. And I thought he was his Bruce Dern's superior, but no, he's not. He's the guy who's like, he's the straight-laced partner that is kind of going along for the ride, but the whole way is just like, look, man, I don't like, you're gonna get us both in trouble. Like, we're gonna get yelled at if we encourage a group of criminals to rob a bank downtown. And like, if you don't get, he's like, relax, we'll get the money back. Like, what are you worried about? Maybe some criminals will get shot.
The guy's like, look, it's 1978. Like, people still get pensions. I want to be vested in mine. I have a wife and a kid. Like, what is with all this extrajudicial shit? And Bruce Dern is just like... What's with
all this cowboy shit?
Bruce Dern is just like, shut the fuck up.
Bruce Dern actually makes a stirring case for a sports analogy.
Oh, like the part about, like, the only section of the paper you got to read is the sports section?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, good and bad, they lay it all out, two competing forces, and you find out who wins and who loses. And, that's when he puts to his, to his underling, he's like, do you want to be like a seat filler? Like, do you want to be on the sidelines or do you want to play and win? And I'm like, son of a bitch, Bruce Dern, tip of the hat to Walter Hill, like you sold me on it. And it's such a, again, like it's a sparse speech. Like he doesn't have to like start from like, 100 feet away and be like, let me tell you about a thing that my grandpappy once told me. He's like, yeah, read the sports section. Like, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Like, the analogy starts at the start of the analogy.
That's a good Bruce Dern impression, by the way.
Well, thank you. I did watch him for 90 minutes. This movie is a tight 90 minutes. Like, blessed be.
Yeah, I've watched this movie 3 times in the last week. It's that good.
I watched it, and Jen, you were there. You were half of this conversation where it's like, okay, we've got to watch the next movie for next week. And I'm like, can we just watch The Driver again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so good. But we need to keep talking about it. We can't just be like, go watch this movie. It's good. It's got Ryan O'Neal in it.
Let's move to the other aesthetic side, which is Isabella Adjani. Almost distractingly beautiful as the player.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they said, Isabella, your job is to show up and be pretty, to be like, yeah, I can't even be mad. That's great. Yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah. It's a very terse neo-noir part.
Yeah. But I mean, not in a well, Jen, maybe you can have a better insight into this, but there's a thing about, women characters being typically underwritten.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her character doesn't do a lot, but I wouldn't say that she's underwritten, because even in the scenes because she, for whatever reason, doesn't identify the driver in a lineup, which pisses Bruce Dern off to no end, because he's like, I know this is the guy, I just need to have someone say it. But she's like, no, I don't recognize him.
It's not him.
Yeah, and her reasons are basically, fuck you, I don't like you.
Yeah. And
like, that's it.
Yeah, and this is a good example of the difference between like underwritten and efficiently written, because you don't learn a lot about her, but from just like a few lines of dialogue from the cop and just from seeing the environment that she's a part of, like suddenly
it's like, I know about that thing that went wrong, but it got swept under the rug.
Yeah, and then like a whole world of understanding opens up for the viewer who's paying attention, because you're like, oh yeah, like this girl is very young and beautiful. However, like she appears to be kept in some way because she's not paying for her really great apartment. Right. And she says more than once to the driver, I need money.
Yeah. And that is a great, again, another great facet of her character, because in an underwritten woman's character, she is just kind of along for the ride. She, she loves the driver or whatever, or she looks up to him or is somehow smitten with him. That doesn't appear to be the case here. Like, there isn't any protracted love scene between the two of them.
Yeah.
She needs him because she needs the money.
Yeah. And
like even in the chase scene at the end, when like she's in the truck with them, there I had that moment of doubt where I'm like, wait, why is she here? And I'm like, because she wants the money. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. What a valid opinion.
Yeah.
Like, what a valid motivation.
Wow, a female character with an inner life. Who knew?
Right, yeah. So, like you say, it isn't underwritten. It is efficiently written.
Yeah.
It isn't even like a sexist motivation. It is like, I want money. I'm here to get the money when you get the money.
Yeah. Yeah. And when there's a scene where, and I don't know if you interpreted it the same way, but like the scene where she goes to Ryan O'Neal's flophouse hotel room.
Right.
Again, this is Tim as fuck, which is like getting like a $5 hotel room. And no, he's not going to pay the extra dollar for the TV.
For a TV? What am I, the Monopoly man? No, I can be alone with my thoughts.
Like, this is a man who makes really good money when he's working. He don't spend it freely.
Right, yeah. He gets $10K up front and gets 15% of the take.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is Tim as fuck.
Yeah, I am also filing that away for a traveler adventure. But, yeah.
I knew you would. That is also Tim as fuck.
Just to be smart, huh?
Right, but anyway, so when she goes to his place, and he says to her, like, I don't know, maybe you're looking for a fast ride, and it's like, oh, well, we all know what that means. But it almost looks like she's like kind of offering herself, like, hey, like, I need money. You got money,
right?
I only got one thing I can give to you in return.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, and he's like, I don't make loans.
Yeah, and that's another Tim trait. Will not pay for sex.
I will not loan out money. How about that? Because yeah, I mean, he's no fool. He's like, look, if I loan you this money, I know I'm not getting it back. Like, it's not a loan. Like, you would think that you paid me by giving me sex, but it's like, no, you still owe me that money.
Yeah, and like the perfect like detachment of this character, where he turns her down and she's leaving. And he's like, nothing personal. I don't even know why you would be like, I don't know why you would be upset about this. I mean, come on. It's just like the most logical thing. Like, why, you're not going to pay me back.
Yeah, these are the rules. You just have to play by them.
Mm-hmm.
Not the rules of the road. Those are more like suggestions. Yeah. But yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't dislike you, but I'm not giving you my money.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Call me on the driving spectrum or not, but he's just like, look, everyone in this line of work is shit. Like, why would I stick my neck out for any of them? I look out for myself.
Yeah, and as a quick aside, this movie, while it is one of the it's one of those have you seen this movies which has grown tremendously in reputation since its initial release. When this came out,
yeah, we should have gotten on this 5 years ago.
Well, when this came out in 78, it made no money and critics fucking hated it.
Critics are stupid. Don't listen to them.
And I haven't looked much into contemporaneous reviews. It was maligned as like ultra violent, which
okay.
I mean, in 2025, that's transparently hilarious, but
right, yeah,
but,
it isn't like Bonnie and Clyde violent,
right? Like thinking back on it, like you're like, okay, like these guys get shot, and then like shoves a gun in Ronnie Blakely's mouth. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of violent, but it doesn't like it doesn't necessarily like rise to that level. But I guess in 78, like that coupled with kind of the general icy tone of the movie and the fact that it takes place in, as Tim described it, this kind of like Wild West milieu of like, everyone's out for himself, and there is no like human warmth whatsoever in this movie. Like,
right,
there's no romance, there's no affection, there's not like very little apart from loathing.
True.
So my point in saying that is that maybe, sorry, Tim, but my point in saying that is that maybe it just didn't sit well with 1978 reviewers because like the movie is so cold. It's not like you have characters that traditionally you might root for, although you fucking root for the driver throughout this.
Yeah. Well, it's that chick tract. People weren't ready for Walter Hill's message. And they hated him for it. Like they just, got mad at him for being like, hey, I'm just saying my truth.
Yeah, and interesting trivia, the movie which follows this, 1979's The Warriors, which, as I said, is also sick as hell, that did make some money. Audiences liked it, but it got this reputation as dangerous because I think there were like a couple of scuffles at theaters showing it, and people were like, oh, this movie's about gangs and it's making like young people like getting gangs, like it's a bad movie. It's like it
hypnotizes people.
Yeah, it's a bad influence. It was kind of like when that chick from
that Joker movie.
Yeah, the editor-in-chief of Mother Jones was like, oh, the Joker movie is going to cause like mass shootings. I was like, has anybody like fucking called her on that like years later? Because like, what an insane thing to say.
Right, yeah. What kind of magical fairyland do you live in where movies have this effect on people?
Yeah, so the Warriors got this like kind of like bad reputation, at least among like polite society, but the unwashed masses like were like, this movie fucking rules, dude.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And with the driver, it took a little bit longer for people to come around to it, but people have very much come around to it. Like this movie is now extremely well regarded in the tradition of the best of have you seen this?
Yeah, well, it's like what Ridley Scott said about Blade Runner. Whether you're ahead of the curve or behind, you've got the same problem. Like, yeah, words to live by.
Just like really quick, like in that interview with Walter Hill that I sent you, I love how at one point Walter Hill is just like, "Oh, Ridley always gets his stories wrong."
I mean, he's a great director, a brilliant writer, and he does really nice sketches, but he's a fucking idiot. No, he's like, yeah, he gets the story wrong because it was like a different. It wasn't Robert Altman. It was another Robert.
Yeah, it was Robert
or
Aldrich.
Something. Oh, okay. Aldrich Emmerich.
Another director of masculine pictures, and also Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Yeah, I mean, same story. I mean, I think Baby Jane fits into the masculine movie canon.
Hey, work for hire.
Yeah. I do have to quibble about one point you said about the extreme violence that was turning critics off at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wouldn't say that the violence is extreme. I mean, a couple of dudes get gut shot, and it is like plainly obvious that they're being shot with weapons. Which is something that maybe we're just more numb to. But as you just kind of casually dashed off, and I do like that this movie is very economical, but it does set all the players in motion, even minor ones, because and this takes some backfilling, but you know how Ryan O'Neal is actually the right and correct protagonist of this movie by not wanting to do a job with shooters, not just because like he has disdain for this second stringer crew that's going to fuck up and get people killed, but also probably get him in trouble, and also it is a setup by the cops. Like, he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So they apply leverage once, and it doesn't work. They apply stronger leverage where like the other guy pulls a gun on him, but Ryan O'Neal just like beats him up instead. Because also it's like, what are you going to do? Shoot me? I'm still not going to drive for you. Like, how does that solve your problem? See, logic.
Smart man.
He defeats him with logic, and he just also beats him up, and then tells him he's off the heist just to be an asshole to him, because the guy's like, I don't like this, and he's like, that's the idea.
I beat your ass in the marketplace of ideas, bitch.
Right? Yeah. Oh, so you're not going to be on this job now. And he starts crying. Yeah. But yeah. But his being a dick to like the third guy in this crew means that he's not along for this heist that goes terribly wrong. But he's the guy who's left.
No fucking psychopath.
Right? Yeah, but he is the guy that's left alive who shows up and is like, "Well, hang on, where the hell's my money?"
Yeah,
and he has a motivation. That's how he seeks out that woman who's kind of like the fixer or like a madam who like sets this stuff up.
She is referred to as the connection. In the credits. That's Ronnie Blakely.
Yeah, Ronnie Blakely. And it's great too because she's like, yeah, a cop gave me $300 just to like present you with this opportunity, and he's like, I'm saying no, and she's like, I still got my $300.
Yeah.
Like, what do I care? But yeah, so the connection, and she's the one who set this all up, and the one guy who is left from this heist, like, he comes to visit her to find where Ryan O'Neal is. And like you say, like, it is quaint that in 1978 people thought this movie was incredibly violent, but the sheer like tense eroticism of him sticking that gun down her like gaping red lips,
forcing the gun barrel into her
throat.
mouth, and I was laughing.
That is intense.
Yeah, I was laughing rewatching the movie again today because I was like, oh, this was almost like it was made in a lab to piss off feminists.
Right, yeah, because it is a lot.
Yeah, it's like,
it isn't just that like he puts the gun in her mouth and like she's whatever, but it's like that gun just like keeps going.
Yeah, like it's interestingly from the producer who brought you the next year, Ian Holm trying to kill Sigourney Weaver by cramming a porno mag down her throat.
Hey, Walter Hill knows what he's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just has like these really just like very made up, like, ruby red lips, kind of like, the woman at the end of Ms. 45 when she's done up all like in her makeup. It's like, she is very sexy, and she is also being subjugated by this large revolver. It's like,
yeah, it's
that's a lot.
It's a crazy ass scene, and in fact, like, it still like hits I imagine it hits
'Cause-
differently from it did in 78 because, like, now
Uh-huh.
2025, it's like, oh, we've seen everything. But it still has that, like, it still, like, shocks you to see.
Yeah.
It's very, like, it's very ugly and very eroticized at the same time. And I think, like, that
Right.
was a lot for audiences at the time.
Yeah, especially because, like, in hands of a less capable director, like, let's say pick just about any horror director on Tubi or Roku or Pluto or whatever, like, they would do a very overt, splattery, shocking, gruesome, extended version of that scene. But true to so much of the rest of this movie, the scene is actually played, like, very muted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there isn't a lot of drama or action or even like blocking in this. It is just someone being threatened with a gun very deliberately. And like so much of the rest of this movie, you don't need a lot to get your point across.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and
It is
sounds
a very intense scene for so little happening.
Yeah, and it sounds weird to say but it is, like, intensely misogynistic violence that is well deployed. That sounds fucked up to say, but it's
Right.
It's ugly, and it's supposed to be ugly.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, you feel very uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah.
So good work, Walter Hill.
Yeah. Like,
Because yeah, you and I have seen plenty of movies where it is not deployed effectively. We're just like, this is just sick. Like, this is cheap.
Yeah, like, and it's, and I'm not gonna, like, for some people it might be, like, too much, and, like, that's fine. Like, it doesn't have to be part of everyone's, like, viewing preferences, but
Yeah.
like,
You don't have to be okay with it, but also it's like no one would fault you for not being okay with it either.
yeah, and these are, like, self-evidently bad people. Like, no one is truly good in this film, or even a little bit good, really. The only goodness is that the driver is good at driving.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And hell, even the connection, like, she gets drawn into it to, basically because she's providing her services, which is exchanging good money for clean at a 4-to-1 rate, which I'm like, holy shit. But I mean, she's, putting her ass on the line to let this happen, because the short version is, the driver's the only one who gets away with the money from this heist, but he hasn't gotten away with it. Like, the money is in, a storage locker at Union Station, because this is a heist, neo-noir. Of course it is.
And the money is hot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that, Ridley Scott, that guy that, like, can never remember a story, right?
He
was probably looking at, yeah, I know. Tony Scott's idiot brother was looking at this Union Station location. Is like, oh, I could bet I could do a neo-noir here.
Yeah, it looks great. I think I'll
draw
it.
Just put some smoke and some fans in there, and you got it. There.
Yeah.
It stands in for the far future of 7 years ago.
Another way in which this movie is part of our autistic excellence series, it deals quite a bit with trains.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to tell you about the trains. But yeah. Anyway, so, like, the thing about the connection is that even she is self-serving in this. Like, she's only there because, like, yeah, I'll take your money and exchange it for clean because it's my job. But she makes the point. She's like, I'm not getting killed for you.
Yeah.
Which was true up to a point. But yeah, it isn't. No one is helping anyone. Everyone is purely self-serving in this. It's like, I want my money.
Yeah, and maybe to that line of which is later played on with intense irony of, like, I'm not going to get killed for you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what kind of, like, puts across, like, the weird,
the crosshairs,
like,
on her back.
Well, like, the weird misogynistic, like, death of this character, because it isn't just, like, a throwaway. It's also like, it's like, oh, like, it's a sadly ironic death for someone who wanted to be involved as little as possible, said she wasn't going to die for Ryan O'Neill's character, and, like, oh wait, like, this sick fuck came and, like, fucking killed her. It's
because that guy was kind of a loose end.
Yeah. And Ryan and the driver, like, knew right off the bat. He's like, I don't like you. I don't want you on the job. And sure enough, the guy's a fucking sociopath.
He's a good judge of character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the plan is to, get the money, at Union Station.
Yeah, this is where the movie gets twisty.
Yeah, and it's great. And the woman in this just being hot and mysterious, which is great because she does that. That's all she needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's there because she wants some of this money too. And she, I guess, is there to help set it up and deal with the bagman. And he's going to exchange money for their hot, dirty money for clean money. There's a thing with two two of these lockers being allocated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a chase on a train.
Yeah, and then more
Yeah,
violence.
right. Yeah,
Like Bruce Stern just fucking air holes a guy in a lavatory.
I mean, I don't want to even bother with the ending because, like, it is one of those noir endings where it's like, this can go either way. Like, this can go any way that nothing is certain, even up until the very last minute. Until you get there and you're like, well, I think I'm gonna go watch The Killing again.
Yeah, it's a great noir ending.
Yeah,
It kind of like it makes you go like, oh, but not in a way that pisses you off. It's like, oh yeah, like yeah, that'll happen.
Right.
It's a bitch world, man.
Right. Yeah, and you kind of go like, yeah. No, yeah, let's like no happy endings, like no clean endings. Like everything is just like, yes, but no. I guess in role playing terms, you'd call it a fail forward. And I love that too, where it's like you go through just all this river of shit, and then you get at the end of it, and it's like, okay, like, did we win? It's like, let me stop you right there.
Yeah, it's like I finished this up like with like exactly the same as I was at the beginning.
Right. Like, it's not good or bad. It's just, hey, it is.
It's like, well, fuck, what are you going to do?
What can you do?
It's kind of like shit. I was going to evoke another movie and now I just forgot it.
Well, I will think of it. It is, it is, Mad Max, like, with his like busted leg and like his eyes swollen shut, with the like tanker truck crash, just like looking over and seeing the sand like leaking out of it, just being like, motherfucker.
God. Yeah.
It is one of those like just like delightful downer endings, or just like it do be like that.
George Miller, another action director who fucking gets it.
Yeah. Oh, and on the subject of directing action in this, because it is such an economic film, that it has been like the middle section of this movie is Bruce Stern being like, I want to entrap this driver into this bank heist that I'm arranging. Yeah, I'm a cop, but I'm setting up a bank job. But it is, the first guy goes and he says no, the second guy goes and he says no, and finally Bruce Dern goes to the driver and is like, you're doing this job. I've got a lot on the line here. You're committing a crime for me.
Again, scary as fuck. Like,
right.
He just shows up at his rented room, like, being all fucking scary, and you don't know what he's going to do. And also, like, the erotic charge to this is not quite to the level of Gene Hackman saying to Russell Crowe's character in Quick and the Dead, like, I've always liked you, Court, and just looking at him like he's a Sunday roast. But, like,
nummy.
The taut eagerness on Bruce Stern's face as he's looking at the driver and he's like, oh, like, you motherfucker, you're doing this for me whether you like it or not.
Right.
Like, he comes
it's like
across,
you can take the windows or the stairs.
He comes across as a guy for whom like the erotic motive is not like sex as much as it is like just fucking controlling other people. Like, it really is that like the most simplistic reading of like rape, where it's like, well, it's not about sex, it's about power. And like, I think for Bruce Stern's character, it's like, oh, this is his eroticism. Right.
And the other thing too, where it is played better in more economical terms than in The Heist, where Danny DeVito is pushing Gene Hackman's character into this Swiss heist, because it's like, look, I already spent all this money for this equipment and like I can't afford it unless you pull off this heist.
I'm in the hole. That's what it's called. Like, just do it.
Yeah, I'm in the hole. Yeah, but it's like Bruce Stern is like, look, I set up everything. Like, I'm putting my ass on the line to catch you as part of my job. It's like, can you do me a favor and commit a crime for me?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, well, I'll find some way to get you. Like, it doesn't have to be clean, but it's pretty much, he's being blackmailed into it or strong armed into it.
Yep.
But
I
the
ship
thing
it.
that I like yeah, but the thing that I like too after that is when at some point, the driver gets back to the other guys involved in the heist, and they have a brief scene where, Bruce Dern again asserts that he is in charge of the situation, and like you were saying, like he does get off on it. Like that's the point that we're making, is that he does like being in charge all the time.
Yeah.
And then cut to the bank job is being done.
Yeah.
Like everyone is on the floor. They're running out of the bank. They're shooting back into the building as is their wont. And it's like, I'm sure that at some point Walter Hill is like, interior bank. Fuck it. Exterior bank. Shots fired.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't a bank heist movie. It's called The Driver. Like, why are we fucking around with this? And, it's the one guy who gets out. And then there is the titular driver, just like cool as fuck, waiting in like a Trans Am.
Yeah, and like his
"All right,
fucking
buddy, let's go."
sunglasses.
Yeah, let's drive.
And boy, does he drive. This movie is so economical that none of these cars even have seatbelts.
Yeah, that was another thing that didn't escape my attention.
When
driving around these corners at top speed in a truck, I'm like, no one's wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah, and then like at the end when he defeats the other driver, like it's a cool crash, but I was like, they like fall out of the overturned car and like shakily stand up, and you're like, okay, how are they not ground beef after that? Because this should be some red asphalt shit. But we need to have a little character moment where the other driver is like, hey, I ain't even in this shit.
I'm just the driver.
Drove the car, and the driver tells him go home, and he's like, thank you. I will take all of my bleeding, lacerated internal organs right the fuck home.
Like, he knows when he's done. Like, no one to fold him. They don't even have to have like a whole persuasive argument. He's just like, go home. I just shot your friend.
Yeah. I also love how Ryan O'Neal's character is like such a cool customer that like there's more than one occasion in this movie where he plays chicken with another driver and wins. And it's so great in the opening car chase when he faces down two cop cars, and the guys who pulled the jobber in the back seat just like screaming like, oh fuck, like fuck, and he's just driving.
Yeah, because it's like they say about the predators and prey. The predator is chasing the animal for his lunch, but the prey is running for his life.
Yeah.
Those cops are like, hey, you want to get in a head-on collision?
Yeah.
And then like have to go after work after this? Like, no.
Yeah.
This is just a job for me. It's like Bruce Dern says, like to him, it's just a game.
Yeah.
Winners and losers.
And honestly, it's like never not funny just seeing cops getting owned.
Yeah. And there's some good, there's good use of the environment in the car chases, which I appreciate.
Yes.
There's a part where like the two of them are just like chasing around. They both get kind of like stuck in like this small-ish warehouse, so it kind of becomes a demolition derby briefly. Not just like a straight up chase, but it's like running into the other one and like reversing and trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
There's a great part where he has like he has cop cars on either side, and he swerves one into like a parked car, and another time he swerves it into like a pallet of cinder blocks, where it's like, yeah, you're using the environment. Like he is aware of his surroundings. The choreographer is aware of the surroundings, where the cop is like, I'll just push him off the road, and it's like, I'm gonna have you stay on the side of my car until one of us runs out of road, and that's gonna be you. So it's light cycle tactics.
It is so fucking cool.
It's great. Yeah.
And also the just a brief side note about the look of this film, and this is another thing which I like about this era of filmmaking. Like, it was heavily inspired by Edward Hopper.
Oh, the guy who wanted to eat Kermit the Frog. That's Doc Hopper. My mistake.
You all know the painting, Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, and as you watch the movie, you're like, oh yeah, like these, these kind of like sickly green, fluorescent lit interiors
Yeah.
and, just low lifes and scumbags. And the thing is that it evokes
daylight time film with
it evokes Edward Hopper without being like I feel like if somebody did this in 2025, it would be like, oh, here's a shot which exactly mimics the composition of Nighthawks.
Right.
And it'd be like, get it? It's like, well, yeah, but like, good job, I guess. Like referring directly to a thing.
Yeah, you can also trust the audiences paying enough attention to be like, you know what this reminds me of? Be like, yeah, he can put two and two together.
And also, like,
even like
because, and also, sorry, Tim, but because this was 70s in the era of real film, like it just looks fucking great. Like those blacks are so deep that you could just like fall into them and never come out.
But yeah, on the thing that we were saying earlier about, being able to piece things together yourself, like that's even evident in, the opening scene, which is about it, it's this synecdoche of different elements where it's like, we know there's going to be a heist, we know there's going to be a car chase. We're seeing scenes of, like the car dealer at this sort of casino place. And it's like, something is going to happen, but we don't know where, what, and how. So as me as the audience, like I'm engaged where it's like, okay, like I'm trying to figure out like, when does the driver come in? When does this happen? How does this all fit together? But the movie isn't telling you. So it is great at just building, suspense through these disparate elements that it, parses out very, again, economically to be like, here are all these things. These are all these little puzzle pieces, and they're going to come together. Oh, and then two guys are punching a security guard, and then a getaway car shows up. You're like, okay, we're right in this.
It's the opposite of the Netflix mode of filmmaking, where it's like, okay, like, say what you're doing.
5-episode story.
Say what you're doing as you're doing it, because most people are only watching this with like half their attention. Like. And I can't believe I have to say this about a visual medium, but, a neat thing about a movie like this is that if you look at the screen the entire time, you are rewarded.
Right. Yeah, it's like that, tweet or something that was about, like, it's a guy, like, watching, like, The Thing with his girlfriend. And she's like, why are they shouting at them? Why are they chasing that dog? It's like, you do realize that as you watch the movie, these questions get answered. Like that's the way this medium works.
Yeah, like if and I have this particular executive function disorder, I can say it, but if you have that friend with ADHD who's really bad at watching movies and they're like, well, why is he doing that? It's like, okay, like they showed it earlier in the movie, but you were flapping your lip. Like,
right.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, the credits rolled, and then Ryan O'Neal, with his shirt half unbuttoned, points at you and be like, we aren't watching movies together anymore. And then he just walks out the door.
Great costuming in this, too.
Yeah. It's very 70s.
Very,
like,
very cool.
Real 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like disco 70s.
Like, you should start dressing like that.
I'm going to have to.
The most telling line is this is when one of the shooters, after having a tense meeting with the driver, says to the other guy, boy, it's tough to like that man, I tell you. And if that ain't Tim.
Meanwhile, he's just like walking away unconcerned. Be like, so that's a you problem.
Like, why do I care about your opinion?
Right, yeah. Oh, does this mean I'm not going to do the job I didn't want to do?
He's making like the crying motion.
Right, yeah.
Oh no, I got fired from the thing I hated. Wah.
Oh, I guess I just have to go back to my pile of money in my shitball apartment. Oh no.
I'm just picturing Ryan O'Neal in his like shitty flophouse room, but he's got a Roku hooked up to the TV somehow, and he's watching B-movie TV.
Yes.
He's like
recounting his money.
Yeah, and the reason he's so terse in his meetings with all these different like low lifes is because he has to get back every 2 hours to see what the next movie is.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I want to hear the host speak off the cuff about the movie that they didn't really even bother to watch, and talk about how exciting it is misusing common terms.
I could never. Look, the thing is, I watched this movie 3 times this week. I don't think it's currently on streaming.
Wow, I mean, I watch it once and then I gotta take a nap.
I don't think it's currently on streaming apart from you probably get it on Prime, but fuck Amazon.
Well,
this one's
that, yeah.
this one's worth seeking out.
I'm
Very
sure
much
there's
worth
a
seeking
DVD of
out.
it at your local library.
Yeah, get the come on, like get the fucking Blu-ray. There has to be like a 4K or something. Like it's worth it. This is a high point for Walter Hill. This totally makes up for fucking Streets of Fire. Go listen to that episode with your friend of mine, Bitter Corella, as guest. An aphasic Bitter Corella. But yeah, so fucking watch The Driver. It's about autistic excellence.
Yes. So anyway, about the trains. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can show your support by going to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis and make a pledge at the $2 or $5 tier. $5 a month gets the latest episode before everyone else, plus access to our Discord, where we're always arguing about movies. If you'd like to give us a tip, our Ko-Fi link is in the show notes.
I'm just trying to imagine, because the driver takes the one ugly guy's car, the pickup truck, a red pickup truck, and I was like, God, can you imagine him trying to do all of this in one of those shitty lifted trucks they sell now?
Just rolling it at every corner. It's like me playing Forza.